Imagine this for a second. Someone goes out shopping, right?
Mm.
And they buy a simple little trinket for, I don't know, maybe $5.
Okay, yeah, just a cheap little item.
Exactly. But then they go home, they look their spouse dead in the eye, and they tell them it cost $10,000
Wait, what? Why would they do that?
purely to watch them explode. I mean, purely to start a massive fight.
Oh, wow. That is incredibly toxic.
Right. And when the chaos erupts, the devil just looks up at God, throws his hands in the air, and says, hey, don't look at me. I didn't do that.
Yeah, I think we've all seen variations of that play out.
Exactly. Why do we subconsciously crave conflict like that? Welcome to another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Because whether you are, managing a really difficult team at work, or trying to navigate some tricky family dynamics, or even just trying to understand your own internal frustrations, you are in the exact right place today.
You really are, because today's source material is pretty profound.
It is. We are looking at a set of notes and diagrams from a study session focused on the book of James, specifically chapter 4, verses 1 through 12.
Led by a teacher named Bishop Loretta, right?
Yes. And our mission today is basically to dissect the anatomy of human conflict and, of course, the mechanics of divine grace. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, it's the perfect text to unpack because we're looking at this fascinating intersection of human psychology and spiritual theology.
It's not just a list of rules.
No, not at all. James chapter 4 functions almost like a psychological X-ray.
Oh, I like that, an X-ray.
Yeah, it illuminates the underlying disease that causes the everyday symptoms of our conflicts. It breaks down the internal architecture of why we get so unbelievably angry with each other.
And I love that the session started by immediately debunking that exact myth I just mentioned in the opening, the whole, the devil made me do it excuse.
Right. We love to blame external forces when things go wrong in our relationships, don't we?
Oh, totally. We say it's spiritual warfare, or, I don't know, Mercury is in retrograde, or it's just my impossible coworker.
Absolutely. It is always much easier to point outward than to actually look inward.
Yeah.
But the core theology here argues that not every problem, and certainly not every argument, is some grand spiritual warfare. Often, it is just our own flesh.
Our own internal mechanics failing us.
Exactly.
Which actually brings us to a really specific Greek term they focused on in the notes. The word is hedonai.
Hedonai, yes.
And when I first saw that in the notes, my mind immediately went to hedonism, or, just basic lust.
And that is the common assumption. I mean, in English translations, it's often simplified as just lust.
Which immediately makes everyone think of sexual desire.
Right. But the original biblical concept is actually much broader. And frankly, it's much more relatable to our daily conflicts.
Okay, how so?
Well, it refers to cravings, desires, and pleasures. Specifically, the group discussed how it represents this intense worldly pressure we feel to be respected. The craving to be honored, to be heard, and to be validated by the people around us.
But hold on, I have to push back a little here. Are we saying that wanting to be respected is bad?
Wow.
Because wanting to be heard in a relationship or at your job, I mean, is that inherently wrong? I'm thinking about it like a car engine.
A car engine? Okay.
Yeah, like having gas in the tank. That desire, that drive to be valued, it's fine. Actually, it's necessary.
Right, you need the gas.
But if you're pouring that gas on an open fire instead of putting it into the engine, obviously it causes an explosion. So is the desire itself the problem, or is it how we use it?
What's fascinating here is exactly your point. The desire for respect isn't the root issue in a vacuum. God wired us for connection, and for mutual respect.
Right.
The desire only becomes toxic when it is dictated by worldly expectations rather than kingdom principles.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so when your need for validation becomes this absolute unyielding demand, when you feel you must be honored the way, say, corporate culture or social media honors people.
Right. You need the likes. You need the promotion.
Exactly. That creates an internal war. Because you are expecting to experience spiritual peace while operating on entirely worldly metrics.
And those two just don't mix.
They don't. And when those worldly expectations aren't met, that internal war inevitably spills outward.
Which is why the text contrasts this with Jesus, right? He's the ultimate role model here.
Yes, he was profoundly disrespected. He was dishonored and ultimately killed. Yet, he didn't retaliate out of a bruised ego.
He didn't let the lack of respect start an outward conflict.
Exactly.
Okay, so if the war starts internally with this unmet craving for respect, how does it physically leak out into a shouting match?
Well, it's a process.
Right, because there has to be a mechanism between feeling slighted
Yeah.
and actually screaming at someone in a grocery store parking lot.
There is, and it's a highly systematic progression. The source notes map this out in what they call the pipeline of strife.
The pipeline of strife. I like that visual.
Yeah, it breaks it down into 4 distinct levels. Level 1 is what we just discussed. Unchecked desires.
Okay, so that's the hate I just camping out inside your heart.
Exactly, the root. Then level 2 is unfulfilled frustration. The text calls this the pressure.
So the pressure is building inside the pipe.
Yes. This is when you desire something like a promotion or just an apology from a family member, but you don't get it. You covet, but cannot obtain.
You're just stewing on it.
Exactly. Which leads directly to level 3, destructive attitudes,
Mm-hmm.
or the breach.
The breach in the pipe.
Right. This is where deep hatred, resentment, and anger really set in. And the theology presented here actually equates the stage to metaphorical murder.
Metaphorical murder.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds incredibly extreme at first glance.
It does sound extreme, yeah.
But the way they broke it down in the session made so much sense for everyday life. Because we aren't talking about physical violence here.
No, not at all.
We are talking about killing someone's joy, killing their
Yeah.
peace.
Yes.
Like a parent killing a child's spirit
Yes.
through a constant barrage of destructive, angry words. It's an assassination of the spirit.
That's a powerful way to put it. And once you've committed that metaphorical murder in your heart, it breaks the surface at level 4. Active conflict.
An actual fight.
Exactly. The visible symptoms, the quarrels, the shouting matches that tear apart a community, a workplace, or a church.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. I look at this pipeline, and I just see a toxic chemical spill.
Oh, a chemical spill. Walk me through that.
Well, at level 1, you have this tiny invisible leak in a pipe inside a closed factory. That's the heart, right?
Right.
Nobody on the outside sees it. But the pressure builds at level 2. The pipe completely bursts to level 3, and by level 4, that toxic waste has poured out of the factory and straight into the community river.
Oh, absolutely.
The damage is catastrophic, and suddenly you have innocent wildlife bystanders getting completely sick.
The collateral damage is inevitable once you hit level 4, and the analogies used in the session to describe this collateral damage were just incredibly vivid.
Oh yeah, they were great. They compared it to a shootout, right? Where innocent people catch strays.
Catching strays, yes. The bullets are the angry words. When 2 people are going at it, those words fly across the room and hit bystanders, especially children who had absolutely nothing to do with the original disagreement.
It's so true. They also brought up what they called the 2 donkeys analogy, which I loved.
That was a brilliant visual.
Think about it. If 2 people are out in public fighting, just screaming at each other in the middle of a restaurant, onlookers don't stop and analytically deduce who has the morally superior argument.
No, they don't care who started it.
Right. They just see 2 donkeys. Both parties completely lose their credibility.
Exactly. And another critical point brought up by the group is this idea that a drowning person will drown you too.
Yes. If you try to jump in and engage with someone who is in the middle of their chaotic level 4 conflict.
Right. Without having absolute wisdom and really strong boundaries, their panic and their anger will just pull you right under the water with them.
Yeah, and there was that chilling warning from Bishop Loretta about that.
Yeah.
She said, a man who has nothing to lose will make you lose everything.
That gave me pause.
Me too.
Hmm?
She connected it to a warning in the book of Revelation about letting no man take your crown.
Yes. Because if someone is walking around without a crown, or if they're, deeply insecure about their crooked crown, their easiest way to feel better is to try and knock yours off.
Which is precisely why she brings it all back to maintaining your own heart posture, even when the other party is acting out.
Even when they are actively trying to knock your crown off, your internal posture is everything. Because the community is always watching.
Right, like that old phrase, they'll know we are Christians by our love.
Exactly. You serve as a witness to others not by winning the argument or being the loudest donkey in the room, but by maintaining a transformed heart when the argument inevitably happens.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Looking like a donkey is bad. We know this.
Right.
So our natural human defense mechanism is to just mask it, right?
Sure, we just hide the anger.
We smile politely, we grit our teeth at Thanksgiving dinner, and we fake the peace.
It's the polite thing to do in society.
Right.
But isn't faking it till you make it better than actually screaming at someone? I mean, think about a house.
Right.
If I have a wall covered in toxic black mold and I'm hosting a dinner party, throwing a thick coat of nice white paint over it, It keeps my guests comfortable.
For the evening, yeah.
Exactly. It looks great for the evening. Isn't that basic behavior modification at least somewhat useful?
This raises an important question. It keeps the guest comfortable, sure, but your house is still quietly rotting from the inside out.
Yeah.
The structural integrity is failing. God cares more about the mold than the paint, because suppressing the emotion actually just increases the pressure back at level 2.
Oh, wow. So faking it makes it worse.
Spiritually and psychologically, yes.
Yeah.
You think you're keeping the peace by painting over it, but you are actually just building a much bigger bomb for level 4.
That makes a lot of sense.
True transformation requires surrender, not just cosmetic behavior modification. That bomb has to be diffused entirely, which totally explains one of the most striking moments in the notes. The teacher gave this very strong, almost pleading warning about a phrase we hear constantly.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
She said, please stop saying God knows my heart.
Yeah.
Because people use it as a defense mechanism, right? Like,
Yeah.
I may have snapped at them, but God knows my heart.
Right.
And she points out that using that phrase to excuse your outward behavior or your internal resentment is actually the core of the problem. Because God does know your heart.
He does.
And he knows it is currently filled with black mold. It's filled with that level 1 unchecked desire and that level 3 destructive attitude.
Precisely. She advises them to stop using that phrase as a shield. Instead, she says, just be honest. Say, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better.
That's so vulnerable.
It is an admission of the internal disorder. Because until you admit the house is rotting, you can't invite anyone in to fix it.
Okay, so if the house is rotting and faking it is just building a bomb, how do we actually fix it? We clearly need help.
We do. And according to this theology, that divine help comes through prayer.
Right. But the source material points out that we are incredibly prone to failing at prayer, usually in 2 major ways.
Yes, the diagrams outline 2 distinct failures. The first is the failure of independence, which is simply not asking God at all.
And the second?
The failure of indulgence, which is asking amiss, asking with entirely wrong motives.
Let's dig into that failure of independence first. Why do we just not ask for help?
The consensus in the room brought up some really raw, honest reasons. Some people just assume their need isn't God's will, so they don't even bother.
That's sad.
It is. Others are carrying guilt from past mistakes, so they distance themselves, preferring independence over facing their shame.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the success trap, like the biblical King Saul. You get a little successful, you get complacent, you just stop communicating because you think you've got it all handled.
But perhaps the most profound reason they discuss for not asking is spiritual fatigue.
Yes, spiritual fatigue.
The notes specifically highlight a phenomenon often experienced by Black women, though it applies broadly to anyone carrying heavy burdens.
Right.
They fight and fight their way through systemic barriers to reach this glass ceiling of success. And by the time they get there, they are utterly exhausted.
Completely drained.
Yet they've developed this ingrained habit of rushing to save everyone else around them without stopping to seek divine guidance first.
The analogy they used for this was devastating.
Oh, the bridge one.
Yeah, it's like seeing someone drowning and immediately jumping off a bridge to save them. But because you didn't pause to pray, prepare, or even assess your own strength, you end up drowning too.
And there's this very real-world detail added to the discussion. You end up drowning, exhausted, and unable to even pay your own light bill.
Exactly. You pour yourself out completely for others out of pure habit, leaving yourself entirely depleted.
It's a profound observation on how fatigue and fear lead us to rely on our own personal manipulation and scheming.
Yes. We try to force outcomes. We try to fix everyone's problems on our own strength because we are simply too tired to trust the process or wait for an answer.
I think everyone listening has probably been there, where you're just too exhausted by life to even formulate a request for help.
It's a very human place to be.
It's like running a marathon, twisting your ankle at mile 20, and running right past the medical tent. Not because you don't need help, but because you feel like you are just too tired to stop, sit down, and explain to the medic where it hurts.
That's a great way to put it.
It feels easier in the moment to just keep limping.
And that leads us to the opposite end of the spectrum, the failure of indulgence.
Right.
This is when we do stop at the medical tent, but instead of asking the medic to fix the ankle so we can finish the race, we demand they give us a completely new pair of highly expensive gold-plated running shoes.
Oh, treating God as a cosmic vending machine.
Exactly. designed to fund our selfish pleasures. There's a brilliant quote from a commentary by Thomas Manton in the notes to emphasize this.
What does he say?
He wrote, "God never promised to satisfy our fleshly desires. He is not obligated to finance our idols."
Wow. He is not obligated to finance our idols. That is a heavy sentence.
It really is.
Because if you are praying just to feed that level one unchecked desire, the need to be respected, the need to be wealthy, the need to be right in an argument, you are asking amiss. You're just asking for more gas to pour on the fire.
So if spiritual fatigue and treating God like a vending machine are the underlying sickness, what is the actual prescription?
Right. How do we fix it?
How do we reset our approach so that our requests actually heal that divided heart rather than feed our worldly egos?
The group had what one participant described as an epiphanal moment regarding this exact question.
An epiphanal moment, I like that.
It's a three-part framework from Bishop Logan for evaluating whether a prayer or a desire actually aligns with God's will. Three incredibly simple questions.
Okay, what's number one?
Number one, does it bring God glory? Number two, does it align with Scripture?
And number three.
Do 2 or 3 people independently confirm it's a good idea?
That third point is absolutely crucial. It brings the community back into the process.
Yeah, we can't do it alone.
We all have blind spots, and having trusted counsel acts as a safeguard against our own internal echo chambers where we, easily convince ourselves that what we want is what God wants.
Exactly. And they gave a really practical, everyday example of what this shift looks like. Let's say you need a car.
Okay.
The cosmic vending machine prayer is just, God, give me a car.
Yeah.
I want a nice, shiny car so my neighbors respect me.
Right. Feeding the head and eye.
But when you pass that desire through the framework, the prayer shifts entirely. It becomes, God, you know I need transportation for work so I can provide for my family. You said, you will supply our needs, so supply this need and let you get the glory out of me having a vehicle.
It entirely removes the ego from the request, though it's worth noting that the group acknowledged how difficult this is in practice.
Oh, for sure.
It is incredibly hard to focus on praising God and looking at the long-term goal of His glory when you are navigating serious daily adversity.
Yeah. When you are dealing with a terrible illness or a bereavement, or you're just incredibly anxious about paying this month's rent.
As one person said, we are flesh. The struggle to look past our immediate pain is a massive, very human challenge.
It is. So what does this all mean? How do we synthesize this?
Well,
For me, the shift in how we pray feels like changing the camera settings on a smartphone.
oh, tell me more.
We spend so much of our lives stuck in selfie mode.
Mm.
The lens is pointed right at us. My desires, my need for respect, my hurt feelings, my lack of a car.
Right.
But applying this framework flips the camera to landscape mode.
Mm.
It forces you to look at the broader picture, at God's glory and the wider community, instead of just staring at your own face.
If we connect this landscape mode back to the bigger picture of the entire study, that shift is the ultimate antidote to the pipeline of strife.
It stops the whole process.
A prayer life centered on God's glory fundamentally neutralizes that internal war of covetousness we discussed back at level 1.
Wow.
Because if your ultimate desire is God's glory rather than your own worldly validation, the pressure at level 2 never builds.
The bomb is diffused.
Exactly. The destructive attitudes and metaphorical murder at level 3 never form. And the active outward conflict at level 4 is completely avoided.
It really is a complete system reset.
Yeah.
I mean, we started today by looking at how unchecked internal desires for respect and validation create this outward collateral damage where innocent people catch strays.
Yes.
We saw how we try to slap a coat of white paint over the black mold with fake composure, pretending everything is fine while our hearts are secretly at war.
Right.
And finally, we explored how shifting our approach from that exhausted vending machine mindset toward a landscape mode mindset is the ultimate cure.
At the end of the session, Bishop Loretta assigned a group called the Intercessory Square to take these questions back to their community.
Oh, that's right.
And I think they are profound reflection questions for you listening right now to consider in your own life. Look at your own habits. Look at how you approach your needs.
Yeah.
Which failure is more your temptation? Is it not asking for help at all because you are trying to be fiercely independent? Or perhaps you're just spiritually fatigued from saving everyone else?
That's a tough question to answer.
Or is your temptation asking mainly to get a stamp of approval on what you already want?
It is a lot to process. And it requires a level of deep honesty that frankly, most of us try to avoid.
Yeah.
We spend so much time and energy trying to win the wars we have with other people.
We really
We
do.
want the respect, we want the final word, we want to be right. But if this deep dive tells us anything, it's that outward conflict always begins with inward disorder.
The factory leak always precedes the polluted river.
Exactly. So maybe the person you actually need to call a truce with today is yourself.